the lower it goes, the more the conviction will be for you that, teka, hindi bumabagsak siya pero hindi naman dahil pangit yung negosyo niya. Bumagsak siya because of sentiment. If you find companies like that, those are the companies that you can position in even if the market is lower. Hey guys, so in this video, let's try to make sense on what's going on the markets today as we do a deep dive on the market as a whole and look at the large cap stocks that heavily influence the PSEI as well, and then my thoughts on my sentiment on what's driving this altogether, what's going on how we're seeing stocks move over the past few days, and then at the last part we have some exciting news also on some stocks that could possibly give you good dividend yields in 2021. So I want to start everything off by looking at the index. The index closed at 6,544.63, bringing it down around 0.55% and with a value turnover close to 5 billion pesos. So please do note this value turnover is not something that's relatively high. It's not something that when we were seeing the markets push up massively over the past months, we've been seeing value turnovers at around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 billion. So at 5 billion pesos, we are seeing glimpses of a lack of conviction in terms of how much people are willing to transact right now. Looking at the chart also, we are seeing the PSEI at least 1 week detached from the large sell down that we had over the past few days. Please remember that last week we saw a large sell down pretty much predicated by the spike of the coronavirus cases. We've seen it go even higher than where it was last week, but the market somehow already digested that information. That's why we're seeing it that as we're having higher cases, the drop from the previous week factored that in, and now we're seeing it start to consolidate. So looking at it from this chart that I'm showing you right now, you see it that there's a support at the 6425 level, which is also confirmed by the 200-day moving average, and our short-term resistance right now is at the 6776 mark, which rounds up the current range for where the PSEI is at. So please remember right now also ADX is still bearish, MACD is still below zero, but it's showing bits and pieces of a change in direction, maybe a short-term consolidation. We've just gotten out also from oversold levels. From a moving average standpoint, the 150-day moving averages are still bearish. The 20-day moving average, which is currently following, look at the trend line that I drew right here, it's quite following the 20-day moving average. So we are seeing a short-term consolidation from a bounce brought about by the data that was presented that cases are rising, but above and beyond that, the chart right here is showing us a short-term downtrend from the start of 2021. The downward movement is pretty much predicated by the fear of the rising cases and the measures that have been placed on it. It places a shroud of uncertainty because this was something that people did not project also at the end of the year, that we would go at higher coronavirus infection rates as well. And the problem there is this is my opinion, that could possibly swing markets lower if stricter measures to contain this are put in, or in a way that if we go into a lockdown, this will put a more bearish undertone on the markets. I repeat, if we go into a stricter form of lockdown than where we are currently right now, then we may see a more bearish undertone in the markets. Above and beyond that, I want to mention this. We were in St. Luke's a couple of days ago, and their services for COVID-related cases are already full. Please do note, it's not just in St. Luke's, it's happening in a lot of the other hospitals, especially close to the metro, that we are running out of beds once again to be able to contain the coronavirus infection rates. But that's not just the problem. The problem is the medicines, the ventilators, that if we load the hospitals, then it may blow things out of proportion, which will be another negative sentiment to the market. So that's what I'm watching for, not just the rising cases, but our ability to be able to absorb those cases in the hospitals and the medicines and the facilities that we have to be able to contain it. And above and beyond that, the lockdown measures that will be placed in conjunction to it. So those are triggers that could put the markets lower. I'm going to show you the large cap stocks that have a heavy influence in the index. Please do note that the PSEI is composed of 30 stocks. 5 of them have the largest influence because they are around 40+% already of the allocation of the PSEI. So if you follow their movements, you can somehow mirror also how the PSEI is. And if you notice it also, they are moving in almost the same stride and function as to where the PSEI is going as well. Now that being said, I want to start everything off with Ayala Land. So as you can see also, it's similarly below the 20, 150-day moving averages, and also it experienced a large drop similar to what the PSEI did. It's also starting to consolidate with a range close to the 33.4 support level, and the resistance is at the 35.66 level, which if you try to look at it, it's also where the 200-day moving average is. So again, PSEI, Ali, almost the same, large drop, started to consolidate again. But again, bearish movement could be predicated by what happens to the coronavirus cases and the lockdown measures created by this. MACD is also bearish. ADX is still also bearish. As of this point in time, there may be a change in direction, but we have not seen any bullish reversals yet predicated by whatever news that we have. Ali remains to be oversold right now. There was a breakdown from the uptrend which happened around March 8th. After we broke down from that level, also confirmed by the 100-day moving average, we've just seen Ali start to slide down. So again, we are at a bearish consolidation from where it was previously. Now let's look at the conglomerate of Ali, Ayala Corp. Looking at the chart right here, you can see it's very consistent, no, that this is a downward push that we're seeing for Ayala Corporation, that you are seeing highs continue to go down, you're seeing lows continue to go down, which predicates a downtrend. That being said, also from the point that you're seeing in the chart right now, that the 150, 200 and 20-day moving averages are all relatively bearish. And if you look at the stock price of Ali from Thursday, it hit the 20-day moving average, which functions as a resistance. Then it got confirmed last Friday that it did not push higher anymore, that it reiterated itself as a resistance, and you saw it start to pull down once again. ADX, MACD are confirming it's still that it's relatively bearish. It's outside though already of oversold level. So key thing to watch out for is this downward trending line that I posted for all of you, and I guess the 100-day moving average, which is around the 806 level. So let's see how this would progress. But as of now, it has bounced for the short term. In a way, no, if you'll allow me to peg it here, you have a consolidation also at around 726, short-term resistance at the 758 level for Ayala Corp. Next, let's look at the other conglomerates. Let's look at SM. For SM, it's almost similar to how the index is looking. Large drop last week, then it started to consolidate once again with a support building around the 948 support level and a resistance around the 1012 level, which is where the 20-day moving average is. So every time we see moves like this, it's very, very important to watch out for those support levels, because if those support levels don't hold, then we may see a larger movement downward, and we may see something that could be reactionary to whatever news that could possibly come out. But as of this time, the 20, the 50, and the 100-day moving average is bearish. What's protecting SM right now is the 949 support level and the 200-day moving average, where it's currently hovering. Then you have MACD, ADX still bearish. SM though is also at the oversold level. So pretty much almost the same look from Ali, SM, and AC. Large drops, short-term consolidation. Please do note, no, Ali and I think SM Prime are one of the biggest hit for all of the measures that have been placed in, because one of the regulations that the IATF placed is that they bar dine-in inside malls or anything that's enclosed. So that will heavily impact their tenants, and that will heavily impact also their foot traffic as well. Again, I hope that there's no stricter lockdown measures that will be placed, because the stricter we go, the more this will affect brick and mortar industries. If you look at SM Prime, it's almost at the same progression also as AC. You have your downward trending slope right here, you have your downward trending line, but for the short term, it's also starting to consolidate with a support level around 33.8 mark, which is also confirmed by the 200-day moving average. And then you have your resistance at the 37.23 mark, which is confirmed by both the 50-day moving average and the 100-day moving average. So you have a 3-month slope right here, which is confirming some semblance of a downward trending line. You have for the short term also consolidation at the 33.7, 33.8 support level confirmed by the 200-day moving average. Then you have your resistance at the 50s and 100-day moving average, which is showing us a resistance at the 37.17 mark. Now that being said, ADX and MACD are confirming that it doesn't have any strength yet, either upward or downward push. However, it's showing us a more bearish consolidatory level. SM Prime is not anymore in oversold levels. Lastly, let's look at BDO, the largest bank in the Philippines. For BDO, pretty much it's still consolidating, and for those who have been following my videos for quite some time, I've been mentioning that the range for it has been 100 support level, 115 resistance level. For the short term though, you have your support at close to the 100 peso mark, which is where the 200-day moving average is, but you also have a resistance at the 105.85 level, or you can put it 106 level, which is also being confirmed by both 20, 50, and 100-day moving averages. So again, that's where the consolidation consolidation level is. ADX, MACD confirming that it doesn't have any momentum attached to it, but it's showing you that it's more bearish right now by the time we're making this video. The stricter we went, the greater the preference there was also for certain stocks that were deemed necessary. So I'm showing you here the chart of pure gold, and right there you saw ADX start to reverse, you saw MACD start to reverse, then you saw it break past the 20, 50, 100-day moving averages right now, and as of this video recording, the stock is hovering above the 100-day moving average. And that being said, you have a support right now, short-term support, at least 100-day moving average support for pure gold at 39.6, and you have your resistance right now where the 200-day moving average is at the 43.65 mark. So key thing to watch out for next week is how again this issue on the lockdown and the cases would continue. More lockdowns would be beneficial for pure gold as it's deemed to be essential. More lockdowns also, and from a price level, you have to watch the 100-day moving average. If it stays above that, the current narrative will be that could form the new support, and then the possible area for it to go is where the 200-day moving average is at the 43.65 mark. And a breakout from the 43.65 mark will pretty much show us also that, hey, it may be starting to reverse again and push higher. The trend line is also showing us that from whatever downward slope that started September, it's starting already to break past that as of this point in time. As what I've mentioned, lahat ng mga medyo natamaan from the closing of the economy and more or stricter measures, they're the ones that we've seen downward pushes. But if we look at the ones that are essential or the ones that people would buy should there be a lockdown, you've seen short-term movements upward by URC, you've seen short-term movements upward by RRHI, you can see the charts right here, and even the ones that are deemed essential were relatively flat and sideways, meaning hindi sila masyado nabenta, similar to what we've seen for CNPF. What we're seeing right now in the market as a whole is a general reflection on what is happening in the Philippine economy. And what's interesting though, while this is happening, at least for last week, we've seen downward pushes also in the cryptocurrency market. We've seen ADA push above, hit 1.5, but we've seen it correct lower to around, I think, 1.13. Then it has bounced already right now. But BTC, Ethereum, we haven't really seen large pushes over the past days already. And while this is all happening, the US market also, tech stocks have been pretty much been hammered with a lot of downward volatility. So that's interesting. While all of this is happening, we have uncertainty in the Philippine markets. We've seen tech stocks pretty much been sold down, in my opinion, primarily because of bond yields or at least rates going higher in US markets. Then we've seen volatility in the cryptocurrency market, but not much of upward movement. So I guess a key take that I want people to get here is, and I've been very, very consistent in this, is continually follow your plan. You'll see it also from the charts already as a snapshot of how things most likely could go. The more negative things are, the more you have to follow what your support levels are, the more you have to follow. If you have a cut loss point, you should follow that as well. If you are an investor, this is the time where conviction hits the road. This is where conviction that you fully believe in the company that you're getting yourself into, the lower it goes, the more the conviction will be for you that, teka, hindi bumabagsak siya pero hindi naman dahil pangit yung negosyo niya. Bumagsak siya because of sentiment. If you find companies like that, similar to the narratives that I've mentioned, those are the companies that you can position in even if the market is lower. And that's where investing will deviate from trading, because for investing, the lower it goes, but the nicer the company is, it's worth getting into. Now, I want to end it with this. I said that there are some stocks that are very, very interesting towards dividends. I want to show you Semirara. Semirara already had its own push, no? People were a bit worried na baka wala silang bigay na dividends, but they just already disclosed na meron silang dividends, and that's why you saw also the prices start to spike up for a bit. So for Semirara, what's so interesting about that is they are giving 1.25 pesos the dividends, and at a closing of 13.3 pesos per share, it will give you a dividend yield of around 9.4%. So which is very, very high, even higher than the other examples that I gave you before. For those who accumulated SCC when it was building a base at 11.7 close to the support level, your yields would be higher at around 10.68%. Meron pa tayo isang stock, gumalaw na rin siya, and it has been steadily moving in and up in the past few months. So it has been in my older videos as a stock that has been giving dividends, but I really really didn't expect that ganito kataas yung bibigay niya ngayon. It's been steadily moving in an uptrend. I'm talking about GMA 7. Closing price was at 7.48 pesos. But here's what's so interesting about it. They declared a 1.35 peso dividend. 7.48, 1.35 peso dividend. That's giving you a dividend yield of around 18%, which is massively high. But here's the thing. If you look at the chart, there was a base at around 5 pesos. For those who accumulated at the 5 peso mark, your dividend yield would be massively amazing at 27%. There's a lot of opportunity still, but depending on your plan. So the last part of the video, please do note that these are for dividend investors that want to earn off of the dividends from both GMA7 and Semirara. So one thing to watch out for also is in Semirara gave, let's track and let's see how DMC will go and what they will give for it. Please do note a large chunk of the income of DMC also comes from Semirara. And historically naman, DMC, Semirara have been giving out dividends that have been very high as compared to other large cap stocks in the PSEI. Please do know that there's a lot of uncertainty right now, but in the midst of the uncertainty, there's still a lot of opportunities that you can position yourself into. There's a lot of opportunities that depending on your timeline, depending on your time horizon, and if you're trading, depending on the risks that you're willing to take, that you can still find opportunities that will position you for the better. But it will all go back to you taking the time to study for yourself. That's why I keep saying it, that no matter how much I talk about stocks here, please do your own due diligence, please do your own research, please take the time to study, to build the confidence in trading, because at the end of the day, when you start to trade, when you start to learn, you don't become dependent on what other people are telling you. And that's the strength of where the market is, that you make money off the decisions that you make money off the convictions that you make. Hindi kayo nakikinig sa sinasabi ng ibang tao, hindi kayo nakikinig sa napapakinggan nyo lang sa YouTube. The strength of this is you deciding on your own. My name is Marvin Germo. I'm a stock market trader and investor, and if you like videos like this, I have a lot. I'll put it in the description below. Thousands of YouTube videos talking about the basics of the market. And for those who want to consume my content via seminars, we're doing a Zoom course which is happening this May. We're going to talk about technical analysis there. So all of the charts that I showed you right here, that's what we're going to talk about in that May session. So it will be in Zoom, so it's live for those who want to do it and you are from different parts of the country. Even if you're based around the world, you can still join us there as well. And for those who want to consume via reading my books are available in both Shopee and Lazada. Links are in the description below for those who want to be part of it and read my books as well. And everything else that you need to know, how you can open Bitcoin accounts, US accounts to invest and buy, sell US markets, we have that also below as well. I hope that this helped you, and this shows you that in the midst of the pandemic, opportunities are there, that maximum uncertainty, there's a possibility still of maximum gain. That's why you don't have to wait for the economy to get better. You also don't need to get bitter. You don't have to blame other people on how things are. You just have to focus on yourself, and that's what winners do. Winners don't focus on other people. Winners focus on winning. And I know that the 240,000 people subscribed to this channel are all winners. So that's it for now. Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.